Tobermory by Philip J. Moss. Narrated by the author. Produced by Nate LaMontagne. My name is Tobermory, but you may call me Toby, or anything else you please. I am a cat, a Scottish fold to be precise. You can look that up, because I can't be bothered to explain it. Cats have short attention spans. I was named after a cat in a story by Saki, whose real name was H. Monroe. In the story, a scientist teaches Tobermory to speak English. A cat's larynx isn't designed to speak human languages, and even if we could speak human languages, we wouldn't bother. So it's clear that the story Mr. Monroe wrote was pure fiction. Cats do understand the languages that people speak, but we are not good listeners. I say, if people want to converse with us, they can bloody well learn to speak cat, and they will only have to learn it once. Cats in America speak the same language as cats in China or anywhere else. Time for a nap. I was born in Arkansas and was torn from my mother at an early age. 11 weeks, to be precise. I flew on a plane in a cat carrier, which had its pros and cons. It was small, and because I was enclosed on all sides, I felt safe. I tried to sleep, but the plane was noisy, and there was a damn dog in another pet carrier that wouldn't stop whining. Then there was a long car ride to my new home. When the woman took me out of the pet carrier and held me in her arms, I started purring right away, like my mother taught me, so that the woman would bond with me. Things go a lot easier for you if you do that, as I have learned. Like, your owner will cut you some slack when you get carried away and claw the upholstery if you purr a lot when she picks you up the rest of the time. There is a man also, so I guess I have two owners. Oh well, time for another nap. Cats have been living with people for thousands of years, yet people seem to have learned surprisingly little about us in all that time. Most of you have figured out that cats are naturally curious. I can't tell you how often I have heard the expression, curiosity killed the cat. But how many of you have figured out why cats are so curious, or even bothered to ask the question in the first place? You humans take great pride in the fact that you have managed to domesticate a few other species. But has it ever occurred to you that we cats are the one who domesticated you? We persuaded you to give us food, shelter, attention, toys. No more struggle for existence for us. No other species of predator can claim to have domesticated humans. Dogs? Ha! They're no longer predators. Any cat the world over can kill mice. Show me a dachshund that can kill a mouse, or even catch one. Yeah, we cats are something. Nap time. The other day I jumped into the recycle bin. I heard the man talking about it with the woman. He said, the kitty went dumpster diving today. Actually, I was looking for the empty tuna fish can he had put there. He had poured the juice from the can over my dry kibble. Damn thoughtful of him, I said to myself. Or maybe he just wanted to shut me up. I started moaning piteously when he opened the can, and I heard him say, "Put a cork in it, Toby, or I'll drop kick you into the living room." He's a great kidder, that one. I tripped him when he was climbing the stairs by running between his legs, and he hit his head and had a nice bump for a week. Payback for when he stepped on my tail. No hard feelings, though, hey? I thought, since we are sharing the same roof, that I ought to try and learn more about my human hosts, and so I have made a real effort to study and emulate what they do. This is met with a mixed reaction on their part. For example, I see the man and the woman pressing their mouths together, and I have surmised that they do this to show affection. And so I have begun pressing my mouth to theirs. They seemed to appreciate this, so I threw in a little nip on their chin, as cats do, but it appears that they have some kind of bias against that. Or maybe it's my timing. I jump on the bed and do this when I hear them stirring at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's this large white fixture in the people's bathroom that looks like an open mouth, except when the lid is down. Through close observation and determined inference, I figured out what it is for. It is a litter box, except that it uses water instead of kitty litter. Seems like a damn peculiar method if you ask me. I told the man that he was welcome to use my litter box, but he seems not to have understood me, or else he is plain just not interested. Not my problem, I guess. Just trying to be helpful. There is another larger white container in the bathroom, and the man and the woman take turns filling it with water and sitting in it. Sometimes the man stands in it, and water comes out of a pipe over his head in a spray, and when he does that he pulls a couple of curtains across the side of the container. Naturally, I wanted to see what he was doing in there, so I jumped up on the rim of the container between the two curtains. The rim is pretty narrow and so smooth that I can't get a purchase even with my claws extended. It didn't help that the man kept pushing me off. How does he expect me to learn? So naturally, I fell in once and got wet. Practice makes perfect, though, and I haven't had a wet landing in weeks. Correction, fell in yesterday. 2 or 3 times a day, the man and the woman sit in chairs at a table, so I jumped on one of the other chairs and stretched out to put my paws on the table and see what they were doing. Eating off of plates. I quickly realized that they had not put a plate out for me, so I jumped onto the table and was preparing to help myself when the man picked me up and placed me on the floor. Another mistake, I assumed. However, after several repetitions of the sequence, I decided that it wasn't worth further effort. If they want to eat with me, they can put their plates down on the floor next to my dish. So much for trying to meet them halfway. The man and the woman have provided me with an assortment of toys in the shape of mice, squirrels, etc. These are fun to throw around, but not as much fun as a piece of string. I try to reciprocate by stalking them. The humans, I mean. The man gets into the spirit of that much more than the woman does, and it is nice to know that I can do something for him. He wiggles his fingers at me over the arm of the chair, and I crouch down and glare at them, then leap and pounce. Or he will wiggle his fingers underneath a sheet or a blanket, and I pretend I don't know they're his fingers, and so I crouch, glare, leap, and pounce. He will carry on in this fashion for some time before he gets bored, and I try to stick with him. I have to say that both the man and the woman have good hands, very useful for picking things up. Of course, that is one of the reasons we domesticated them. I can't say the same for their feet. More than once I have waited outside the bathroom door when they get up in the night, and they have simply kicked me when they emerge. Of course, their eyes are too far from the floor, and they don't see very well in the dark. Must think seriously about a breeding program to add eyes to people's feet. But not now. Time for a nap. I have learned to jump from the floor to the bed in one leap. I can get up on the bathroom counter by jumping on the radiator first. I can get up on the kitchen counter by jumping first on top of the garbage can. But the man and woman don't know this yet, since I only do it when they are not at home. I don't think I have reached my maximum potential yet. There are some shelves with vases on them that are still a little too high for me to reach. I am reminded of this cat haiku. Nothing here to kill, but many precious things which are destined to fall. The man's children came to dinner the other day, and they brought a dog with them. That led to some interesting interactions. The dog is about 3 times my size, and he made friendly overtures, but my instincts kicked in. Arched back, fluffed out tail, ears down. Well, my ears are always down, but they tried to get even closer to my skull. Hissing, spitting, and a right hook. Just a warning, really, but you should have heard the little bastard bark. Anyone would have thought I took his eye out. Having made my point, I did try to get to know him, but he persisted in thrusting his enormous face towards me. Clearly, his owners have not taught him to respect others' personal space. I have figured out computers. A computer is a screen with pictures on it. The man and the woman are able to control the pictures displayed on the screen. I jumped on the man's lap to see how he did this. He used his fingers to tap keys on a keyboard and the pictures changed, so I put my paws on the keyboard. Nothing happened. So I jumped up and walked on it. That provoked a reaction, and I found myself on the floor. So I waited till the man got up and left, and then I jumped up and did it again. Later that evening, I heard the man tell the woman that I had sent an email, whatever that is. Sometimes, when I jump on the table or play with the CD cases, the man or the woman use the no word. I ignore it, of course. Then they repeat it, louder each time, as if I were deaf. It troubles me that they are so slow of comprehension. Both the man and the woman are gone for a large part of the day, and it is left to me to devise my own entertainment. I have thoroughly explored the house, especially those areas which are small, narrow, and difficult to get in and out of. At least once a day I go on patrol, just to see if there is anything new. Sometimes I find a sock lying on the floor. I could carry it back to the laundry basket, but that would not advance the moral instruction of my hosts, so I usually put it somewhere hard to find where it will gather dust bunnies. I climb the furniture, being sure to extend my claws to the fullest and pulling with my forelimbs as hard as possible in order to develop the muscles there. The point of this exercise is not to rip the upholstery. There is another exercise for that. I also like to crawl underneath the upholstered chair and lie on my back. This allows me to rip the bottom of the upholstery with my rear claws. I try to follow this total fitness regime at least once a day. Having gotten some exercise, I may lie on the bed and look out the window. There is always something interesting going on. The breeze will blow a leaf up in the air. A squirrel will dart about erratically. Birds to watch, and people go by. In the afternoon, I practice using my hindclaws to rake the soft underbelly of my opponent. I use the roll of white paper that hangs on a spindle next to the people's litter box, the one that uses water. I can just reach it if I stand on my hind legs and pull. I could unwind the entire roll, but I want to leave some for the man and woman to play with, so I usually stop halfway. I also pick up a lot of dust during the day, so I have to groom myself several times a day. Speaking of grooming, I have observed the man and the woman standing in the bathroom and putting a stick in their mouths, which they moved around a lot, and then spitting into the sink. When they left the bathroom, I jumped up on the counter and sniffed the sticks. They have whiskers on one end. So I chewed on the whiskers, and it wasn't bad, but I wouldn't want to make a habit of it. One day the woman caught me doing this and used the no word again. I later heard her telling the man what happened of Tobermory. He said, "I guess we need to get him his own toothbrush." I like going to the vet. Everybody there loves me. Yesterday the man brought me to the vet and left me. Everybody played with me and petted me. Then I fell asleep. I woke up still feeling drowsy, and there were bandages on my front paws. When I tried to stretch, I realized that I had no front claws. I realized then that they must have drugged me, and that all the attention they had paid me before this was merely to get me to lower my defenses so that they could mutilate me. I must pretend that I still liked them and wait my chance to get even with... The man and the woman came to get me before I could discover an opportunity to take my revenge. But I have a long memory. For now, I fully intend to take advantage of the fuss that my hosts are making over me. It is gratifying to know that the time I invested in training them was not wasted.